What's up, guys? This is another tutorial by John J. Styles. This is going to be the V-cut, V-fade. So we're going to jump right into it, and we're starting off by putting our initial two guidelines in, which is a V in the back, and it's going to curve up over the ear and go right into the sideburn. Right where the sideburn is arched, it's going to be right where you arc it. It's going to be right in the middle there. So that's where you're going to want to make your first initial guideline. You're going to want to start with the V in the back. And as you can see, as the video goes on, you can see how I go over the ear and arc it right into the sideburn. Now once I arc it and I get to the sideburn there, I touch up, I do a little rough draft of the outline. I touch the beard a little bit and I do the outline a little bit as well. Alright guys, so this part of the tutorial right here is with the foil shaver. With the foil shaver, you're going to bring it down. You're going to bring this down to bare skin. That smooth, bare skin. Now, I'm going to do, it's not yet, but I'm going to do a little close-up so you guys can see the difference between the stubble from the outliner and the bareness from the foil shaver. So as you guys can see right here, this is the close-up. What I just pointed at is the stubble. And that part is very important. You want to leave enough space from your outliners so you can blend this a little bit in. And I'm using the corner and I'm tapping with my foil shaver. Right here, I'm just taking my outliners and I'm just cleaning up any kind of, stubble left behind, any kind of, imperfections, just making sure everything's nice and tight before I jump into it with my next step. So as you can see, I'm just going around making sure everything's nice and clean. It never hurts to double check your work or even triple check it. So here I'm with my, this is my 000 guard, and this is actually, it's not skin, it has a little bit, it leaves a little bit of stubble behind, so I'm just tapping it a little bit to make the line a little, to give me more room to work with. Alright, so here we are in our first step. This is with my Andis Masters. This is with the lever all the way open, no guard. It's just the metal blade all the way open, and I'm setting my first guideline in there. Now I want you guys to pay attention because this part, once I make my initial guideline with it open, I go back and forth from closed, midway, and open just to blend that line out. You don't see every part of when I close the blade or put it at halfway. I like to call it trigger play, but and I'm doing this with the beard right here too. I'm going from all the way open to halfway to closed. And I'm doing that, not passing that initial point where I started afraid to take your time. This is one of the most important steps right here, is to make sure this fade, this part of the fade, is nice and tight and clean. Because if not, it sets the rest of the tone for the rest of the haircut. So you want to make sure this part is as perfect as you can get it. Now we're jumping into the next step right here. This step is with the number 2 guard open, all the way open. And what I'm doing here is called a down fade technique. I'm gonna go from the 2 to the 1.5 to the 1 to the half guard to no guard. So I'm starting with my number 2 guard open, and I'm blending right into the bulk that's in the top of the head. So with the number 2 open, I start my blend. I close it towards the end as I get closer to the bottom of the guideline. Now this is the same part here. We have the 1.5 guard open, and I slowly close the guard until I get closer to that initial guideline I made earlier with my masters. So we start open and then we go down notch by notch just to get the fade closer and closer. And as you can see, the fade's starting to come together. But this is not your traditional technique. This is more of an advanced technique. It's called the down fade, and it works great. Now here, guys, I have the number 1 guard on there, and it's the same thing. We start open and then we gradually close the guard until it's all the way closed, and we can move on to our next guard. So as I said, this is the guard number 1, open, and then we're slowly closing the guard. Same thing, all the way open, then we gradually close it until we get down to that initial guideline. And as you can see, the fade's pretty much really coming together. We're only at the half guard. We're not even, haven't even popped the guard off yet, and that blend is really starting to come together. So same thing, half guard all the way open, and then slowly close it until the guard is fully closed. Now, as you can see right here, I took the guard off, and I'm only using this is very important, I'm only using the corner of my blade. As you can see, I have it at an angle, and I'm just working the corners. I have the blade all the way open with no guard, and I'm doing the same thing. I will close the blade if I feel like there's some dark spots I can't get out with it all the way open, but for the most part, the open blade will take out most of the imperfections and the dark spots that are left behind. But don't be afraid to close it if you can't get rid of a dark spot. Don't be afraid to close it a couple notches to get rid of that. So I put the half guard back on there, and I blend it out a little better. As you can see, the spot I'm hitting right there was a very dark spot that I didn't realize until I turned the client. So don't be afraid to go back in steps and you know, put on the guards that you need. Now with the guard off, I continue hitting any dark spots that I see, I feel that need to be taken out, and I continue to do that. Now that we got the fade looking pretty good, I mean, all my cuts I go back and I do cleanup work, but now that we're through with the steps, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna proceed to do my outline. Earlier in the video, I told you when I was setting my first hard line with the outliners or with my rotary motor, my Andis Supras, I did a rough draft, like a little soft line of the outline. This is when I go back and I clean up anything I notice, and I do the full outline with the beard and the cleanup work with my razor just to make everything look nice and tight.